At this point in 2009, he was just an undrafted free agent signed by the Houston Texans, for whom he made 4 Pro Bowls in his 8 years in the National Football League. He has now turned the page from playing football to becoming a musician. His album, Flamingo and Koval, under the stage name Bobby Fino, has climbed to number 10 on the iTunes hip-hop charts on the Uninterrupted label. We have Arian Foster here on the Rich Eisen Show. Good to see you, sir.
Likewise, man.
How you been?
It's been well, man. How's everything with you?
I'm better for having you sitting here on the show set. I'm better for. Where did have you always wanted to sing and be a musician?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's something that I always did. It's like it's kind of the moniker of the entire project. Is like whatever you wanted to do before you had to keep the lights on. Like that's what I'm trying to inspire people to return to, like whatever that is. And for me, it was music. And I've recorded thousands of songs throughout my lifetime. Like,
when in high school, college?
Yeah,
or?
I started when I was like 12. Yeah, I've always done it. And it was just something that was a part of me. So I felt like I wanted to put out a project while I was playing, but I just the songs I didn't give them the quality that I could when I'm retired, I have the time now.
Right.
And so I couldn't give it the love and the quality that I wasn't satisfied with. So I waited until I was retired, really dove into it, and it's a really quality project.
Well, the coordinates that you're giving is a street corner in Las Vegas,
Yeah,
Nevada.
it's actually a shirt right now.
Okay. And for those who may not know,
yeah,
the
Flamingo and Koval was the intersection where Tupac was shot at and eventually died in the hospital. So, but it was an impactful moment for me in my life because Tupac was such an important figure for me, even though he wasn't tangible to me. It was something that, growing up in the circumstances I grew up in, he provided that little bit of hope for somebody who was struggling financially and just in a circumstance where you didn't see a lot of positivity. And he just provided that little bit of hope for me. You know, I was a young, impressionable kid. Looking back, he said and did a lot of things I don't agree with, but that's beside the point. He provided something for me that at the time was extremely needed.
And who is Bobby Fino?
I mean, it's me. It's not some corny.
I know that, but where did the name come from?
Right. It's not like some corny alter ego. It's just me, but I just felt like it's not that deep. I don't think that Arian Foster is a real artistic name.
Why?
That just doesn't sound artistic to me.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's just a stage name. I needed something else. And so Bobby came from, I don't know if you know, you probably do, Bobby McFerrin. He made that song, Don't Worry, Be Happy. That's what he's known for. But,
Bobby McFerrin.
Yeah. But if you dig into his catalog, he's like a vocal virtuoso. He's like one of the best vocalists of all time. And so like I jacked his name. I just got it from him.
Bobby McFerrin. I would never have honestly guessed that because we were talking pre-show, like where did Bobby Fino come from? I knew we were going to ask you that.
Yeah.
Definitely did not think that would be your answer.
Yeah, Bobby McFerrin is my guy.
Have you ever met him?
I have never met him.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the
list. Don't worry, be happy, Rich.
I know. Tell me about it. I mean, that was all the rage. Back in the day.
He's the man.
Okay. And so Ray Jennings, you wouldn't go Ray Jennings, your character?
I couldn't go Ray Jennings.
Ray Jennings from Draft Day? Ray Jennings doesn't sound like
it. It doesn't sound good either.
So acting, you haven't obviously tried your shot at that.
Right.
Are you still interested in doing that?
Yeah, no, for sure. That's just a slow cook, man. You know, it's just one of those things where
I love that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you want to do it, you have to do it consistent. Like if you look back, like in the 90s, you'll see actors from today who are excelling, but they're doing these small little parts that probably you would never even notice them. Like I remember seeing Dave Chappelle in like Robin Hood Men in Tights. Like you just don't remember those roles because they were just so small. But you just have to keep at it, getting small roles, and hopefully it booms.
So Arian Foster here on the Rich Eisen Show, aka Bobby Fino, here on the show. So how'd you get hooked up with Maverick Carter and LeBron? How'd you get hooked up with
them? It was an interesting. We had a relationship through a business associate of ours, but what happened was my people sent the project Flamingo and Koval to their people, and they were automatically interested. I mean, I understand the stigma as far as athletes putting out music. It's usually trash. 99% of the time it's trash. It just is what it is, man. But they heard this and they wanted to be a part of it because they understood the quality of it. And
well, because they also look, Maverick sat in that seat.
Yeah.
And the number of stuff that they get sent.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine who goes through that before it even gets to Maverick or even LeBron.
Exactly.
I can't even imagine the filtering process that they go through.
Yeah, they probably have to see a lot of whack
Trash.
stuff. Yeah, a lot of trash. So, and there's no disrespect. I think, art is subjective, but I feel like there's a level of quality that's respectful to the art form itself that people who make actual music for a living can respect. Like one of the biggest compliment I've had was two of my favorite producers today hit me and said, "Yo, this is dope." It's a Hit Boy. He's a Grammy-winning producer, and then Ninth Wonder. He posted on Instagram, and I was like a little kid in shell shock because I guess I looked at he's been making hits for artists for years, and it was a form of validation for me. But to answer your question, they heard the quality and they wanted to get involved. And then I have a song where I sampled a Jay-Z interview, and I had to get that cleared through his people, and the people from Tidal as well heard the song, wanted to hear the project, and then they wanted to help with the rollout. So I had Uninterrupted and Tidal who believed in the project and helped with the rollout. So it's just a little stamp and seal of approval of how quality the music is. And I say that humbly. I'm really a humble cat, but you have to differentiate yourself from the box that people are going to put you in initially. So
does this require you root for the Cleveland Cavaliers? Is that in the fine print somewhere?
No, but I root for Bron. Period. I was a Laker fan, but it's just weird. Like once
you might be able to match the two by July 1st.
I think he's going to LA, but
is that inside label information?
No, it's not inside. Cause I have a podcast as well. It's called Now What. That's another plug. Mm-hmm. But Mav was on it too, and we talked about that. He didn't want to spill the beans either, but.
I tried to get that done in October.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't feel like there's another media market that can handle him, and I think he already has like 2 houses or something like that in LA, right?
Well, yeah, and then I also pointed out that if he does want to get into the entertainment world, which clearly he does. He's starting a label. He's doing all sorts of stuff. I'm like, LA's perfect.
Yeah.
And then Maverick as only he can, and just kind of cut you down to size in about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, Rich, you can have meetings anywhere.
Real suave.
It is LeBron, so people will come to wherever he goes.
It is true. But this is the mecca of entertainment, for sure.
Arian Foster here on the Rich Eisen Show. Do you agree that age 30 for running backs in the NFL, that's an age by which you can pretty much say somebody's career is done, based on your experience?
No, not necessarily. I think there's been a lot of productive 30-year-old running backs. I think it definitely, it's a factor. I think age 30 for athletes in general is just the,
careful, you're on LeBron's label now.
It is what it is. Like, right. You always life is a spectrum, right? So you always have your outliers, and he's beyond an outlier. Mm-hmm. He's breaking records at age 33. It's insane, but it's just part of fault. You can't beat Father Time. Like we grind as long as we can. And
so, what advice would you give Le'Veon Bell, who wants to be paid?
Oh man,
like a wide receiver or a top non-running back.
It's tough. I disagree with how the structure of the NFL is paid in the first place, so it's hard for me to.
How so?
Well, we don't have guaranteed contracts. I think that the NFLPA and the owners, they're not doing any justice to the players, and they say they're all for player safety, player health, and but they're not. They're obviously not. And the way that they're paid reflects that. The way that they're treated is reflective of that. So it's not something that I am. You're gonna have a tough time getting paid as a running back. You have to be super special, and he is. But the way that they're doing him now is wrong. The Texans took care of me. Like they could have. Put the franchise tag on me, and you could do it like 2 or 3 years or something like that. Mm-hmm. And like the way they're doing them now is like if you want to take care of your players, take care of your players.
But they did take care of you. They signed you to a longer term
Texas took
contract.
Care of me. Yeah.
After you certainly proved yourself.
For sure, and he's proved himself. So it's like they should pony up the dope. But
okay,
that's the life we live.
I want to take a quick break. Come back. I want to talk about your love of fantasy football.
Oh yeah.
Did you hear the sarcasm drip into the microphone here?
Since
you're a musician, you're a person who can understand timbre of voice.
100%.
100%. That, and then the whole awesome, anti-awesome moment, which was great for me. I remember, I think I showed an MRI of my hamstring on Total Access that night.
It was epic.
Thank you.
It was epic.
Yeah,
I was talking about mine, not yours.
Oh, yours. Okay. It is the Rich Eisen show. Well, we'll be back on the Bobby Fino show in a matter of moments here with Arian Foster. In a moment, don't you dare move. There you go, Arian.
Hey.
There you go, Bobby McFerrin.
Shout out to the God, man.
Song I wrote.
I like to sing it note for note. Don't worry, be happy.
Beautiful message.
Did you always have that in the NFL, though?
No.
It's tough to live, isn't it?
Man,
It's all said and done.
yeah, it's a journey. It's definitely a process, man.
You loved fantasy football, right?
It was I woke up every morning and thought about trying to make people happy on fantasy football. I loved it. It was amazing.
How much would you always hear about that?
I still hear about it.
Do you really?
Yeah. In your green room, I heard about it.
Come on now. TJ, did you go that way with him, our social media coordinator? You did? You still get thanked for winning.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't give me another percentage, but like
Thank you as well.
For sure.
But you didn't, and all deep down, why did you dislike fantasy football?
As a young player, I hated it. But as a little older player and as a grown man out of the game now, I understand its value. But before, all I saw was the dehumanization of players. Like, that's all I saw was like, if you got injured, you ruined my fantasy, bum, yeah, you know. And it was like that kind of stuff rather than like, imagine going to work and you have 2 ambulances on either side of your office and like they're there because somebody's probably going to get hurt, and then you get chastised for being hurt. It's the craziest idea to me, but it's something that you had to deal with. But like, I understood its value later on in my career and afterwards, and then you just take it real lighthearted.
Why did you tweet out your MRI? Because was there something going on with you and the team where you thought that they were not as hurt as you thought? Or?
No, I wasn't. It was a hamstring pull, but right. I think it was. I didn't think it would be as big a deal as it was. Like, we had a team meeting about it. It was.
What do you mean you had a team meeting about it?
We had a team meeting about it. Like, coach pulled a team together. You can't be doing this kind of stuff. Yada yada yada.
Is it Romeo? Was that?
No. It was Kubiak.
Okay, Kubiak.
Yeah, that's my guy though. You know, preface it with that. That's my guy.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a huge deal. It was like all over every talk show, and I was like, I had no idea I was gonna get this. Like, it was just a random like funny thing I did on social media. It wasn't like I don't know.
So you just decided I'm gonna tweet out my own personal information.
I mean, it's a picture of an X-ray of a hamstring, so it's not like it wasn't. I mean, what do people think hamstrings look like?
Okay.
That's what it is.
Is McNair your guy? Bob McNair your guy?
No, that's not my guy. But I mean, I don't have any problems with him.
Well, what'd you think about this whole kerfuffle of him saying inmates running the asylum?
That's a great word.
You like kerfuffle?
That's a good word.
That should be the name of your next album.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But no, I mean, obviously, there are 2 sides of the coin here. There's one that says it's an idiom. It's just a phrasing of words that doesn't have any real substance behind it. And
inmates running the asylum.
Yeah, and then there's people that say there's some context behind that you should be more responsible with what you're saying. I tend to lean more towards that side, but I'm open to hearing the other side. And I think in general, how I view ownership in the NFL and the way they view their players, it makes sense. I think it aligns with their ideals. But I don't think there's an owner that will sit down and have a dialogue with a player to sort out those issues.
You don't think there's any owners that would do that?
I don't think so.
Well, some owners did sit down with some of the players in New York.
I'm talking about like in a public forum, because I think that's what's important as well as those private conversations. But I'm sitting down like in a public forum and having that discourse, because the issue with it in today's society is you have a politically infused society, and social media is fueling that fire. And so that kind of discourse can help people in their day-to-day lives have those conversations with their bosses, with whoever they have, because this is the society we live in. You have to have these conversations. We just live in that world now.
Would you have taken a knee if you were playing last year?
I did take a knee.
You did?
Yeah, when I was in Miami, I did take a knee.
So that was in your last season?
Yeah.
Did Stephen Ross say anything to you?
Yeah, he came up to me the day before, and he said, "I appreciate what you're doing." which is weird because I think I'm unsure, but didn't he kind of backtrack and he said?
Well, he was saying what I think some owners are saying, and I don't have it off the top of my head, so I'm that at this point in time, the issues have now been conflated to the point where why keep doing it?
Right. Yeah.
Is what I think is what he was saying.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't get it, but I understand what he's saying. I think, like I said, he came up to me and said, "I appreciate what you're doing." He was big in social activism. I think to the point now, it's you keep doing it because that's what the freedom of that's what you have in this country is the freedom to do so. You protest at your will, and any disdain for that, I think, is ignorant of what the gesture is in the first place. I don't think it's a form of disrespect. I've talked to military that think it is. I've talked to military that think it isn't. Round and round we go. That's what America is, this melting pot of ideas. But I think if you continue the narrative, you should be able to do and feel as you please as long as you're not harming anybody.
So then I have about a minute left, and I know this is a bigger subject than that.
For sure.
If the league takes the stance that every team can have their own rule on it, whether you stand or sit, how do you think that would sit with players?
I don't think it'll sit well. I think that if you're forcing patriotism on the league in the first place by an annual budget that the government has to fly planes over, to do the national anthem, to do flags, then you're forcing a political statement in itself. So if that's a political statement and you're trying to stay out of politics, then take that out as well. And if not, then you can't be opposed to players taking political stances on things that they believe in.
Check out Flamingo and Koval on iTunes, right?
It's on iTunes, Spotify, Tidal, especially Tidal. All streaming platforms, whatever you stream your music
Sure,
on.
Uninterrupted as well, obviously.
Yeah.
And look under the name Bobby Fino. So if you look at Arian Foster, you won't find it. Is that what you're saying?
No, you're not gonna find it, man.
That's called branding right there.
We're one and the same.
But it's Now What with Arian Foster, the podcast.
Definitely have a podcast, and we have interesting guests.
I know.
You gotta come on the pod, man.
Wow, geez. I mean, thanks for the invite.
For sure.
Going out the door.
We just released one today, and we had Bomani Jones on, so it's a good conversation.
Well, let's do that. Complete the home and home.
We'll make it happen.
You've been here. I do your podcast, and then we keep going on and on and on.
Done. And I race you in the 40.
Well, I mean, how much of a head start you're gonna give me?
No head start.
Will you wear a suit?
I'll wear a suit. I'll wear a suit.
Right,
and I don't even have a suit, so I'll get a suit for that.
And the slippers that you're wearing right now, will you wear those slippers?
I'm doing the slippers.
Open-toe slippers?
Open-toe slippers. I got you.
Okay. Check out at Arian Foster on Twitter. Check out, again, Flamingo and Koval, where music is streamed. Great to see you.
Likewise, brother.
You got it.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.